Hi everyone. In this lesson, you will learn that all subtraction problems are actually addition problems. Some of this will be a review from what you learned in your integer unit, and some of this might be a little bit new to you, or it might be a bit of a review or refresher. Either way, it's a very important concept, so we're going to cover it in a couple of different ways. The first way we're going to talk about is the way that you learned to subtract integers, and that was to use the KFC method. Okay, this method is awesome and it will not fail you if you remember it. Okay, so let's keep in mind the steps. K stands for keep. Okay, keep the first. Oh, let me actually change that. I'm going to say keep the sign of the first number the same. Okay. The F stands for flip. Okay. Flip subtraction, flip the minus to a plus. And C stands for change, and that means change the sign of the second number. This should be a review for you, so this should not be anything new. The only thing that I have changed is we are going to start talking about more complicated numbers. We're going to be using all rational numbers, not just whole numbers, okay, or integers. We're going to be using rational numbers so that we get experience using fractions and decimals and treating them the same way we would treat whole numbers, because it is the same. So let's look at our problem here. We have 3/4 minus 1/2. We all know how to subtract fractions because we did that in our first unit, but now we're going to treat it just like if we were doing whole number integer subtraction, and we want to do KFC. Okay, so let's do keep, flip, change. Every single subtraction problem can always be rewritten using KFC, and our new problem would be 3/4, because 3/4 stays the same, plus a negative 1/2. That's the same thing as 3/4 minus a half. It's taking away a half. Instead, we are adding a negative 1/2. Very same thing. Think about the balloon, okay? Same exact thing. Think about if our balloon was starting at 3/4 and then we were to add a negative half of a bag of gas. What would happen? The balloon would go down, right? So let's go ahead and add that. 3/4 plus a negative 1/2, okay? So we can write that right over to the side. 3/4 plus a negative 1/2. Okay, treat it just like a regular fraction problem. We need to change it to common denominator. Whoops, why am I using 8s? That's crazy. That's not the LCD. We should use 4, right? So we don't have to change it. This one becomes 2/4. And then we have a 3/4 plus a negative 2/4 should equal 1/4. Okay, it's a positive number plus a negative number that's smaller, so it results in a smaller amount, 1/4. Okay, let's go ahead and go to your next page. We're going to do some different examples using KFC. Okay, now we've got some decimals. Negative 6.5 minus 9.25. Okay, let's rewrite it as an addition sentence, because we now know that every single KFC or every single subtraction problem can be written as an addition sentence using KFC. Keep the sign of the first number the same, so that will stay a negative 6.5. Flip the subtraction to an addition and change the sign of the second number. It was a positive number before. It will now become a negative number. Hopefully you know that a negative plus a negative is always going to be negative. You can see that from up above. It would be like if the balloon were at negative 6.5 on the number line, and then you took away bags of gas. What happens when you take away gas? the balloon goes down. So it is going to be negative. Okay, we will use our decimal skills, which are lining up our dots. We can do that off to the side. 6.5 plus 9.25, and these are both negative now. Fill in a 0, line up our dots, and we would get 15.75, negative 15.75 is our answer. And that makes sense if you think about the balloon. We've taken away gas, which makes the balloon go down. Okay, also remember the rules that we learned before. A negative and a negative always gets more negative. Okay, let's look at the next one. We have negative 7 3/4 minus a negative 10. A lot of negative signs right there. And we've got mixed numbers and whole numbers. But let's take this one step at a time and KFC to make an addition problem. So this subtraction problem, it started as the balloon is at negative 7 3/4. We took away 10 bags of sand. Okay, you should realize that if you take away sand, the balloon is going to go up. So be thinking in your mind that this balloon is going to go up. But we're going to write down negative 7 3/4 because we keep the sign the same on the first number. Flip subtraction to addition. Change the sign of the second number so that becomes 10. So now we have negative 7 3/4 plus 10. We've now said that the balloon starts at negative 7 3/4 and we are adding 10 bags of gas, which will make it go up. Remember, adding gas and taking away sand are the same thing. So let's go ahead and just write this, how that would be 7 3/4 plus 10. Okay, it is negative. So we want to figure out how many units that will be. So that is the same thing as rewriting this as 10, 10 minus 7 3/4. So if I was writing this, I might flip it one more time and flip the whole thing around to 10 minus 7 3/4 so I can figure out the difference between these two numbers. Okay, so 10 minus 7 3/4, you cannot take 3/4 away from 10, so we need to borrow. This is a review of your fraction skills right here. We're going to borrow 1 from the 10. We're going to rename that as 4/4. We have 1/4 as our fractional part, and 9 minus 7 is 2. The difference between these two numbers is a total distance of 2 1/4. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next one. This time I've thrown a little bit of algebra at you. And I'm going to just move this up a little so we can see a little bit better. Okay, so this time I've said A minus a negative B, and A equals 0.25 and B equals 0.75. The first thing we should do is rewrite the problem as with the numbers. So it's 0.25 minus a negative 0.75. That's substituting the A for the A and the 0.75 for the B. Now I need to use my KFC to rewrite this as an addition problem, and it would be 0.25 plus, keep flip change, a 0.75. And that will be 1 whole. And I'll show you how that is in just a minute. Okay? If you want to think about the balloon again to help you out, the balloon would be starting at 0.25, so 1/4 down from 0, or above 0. We are adding 0.75, so we're going to go up because that's gas. We're adding gas, which goes up. The original problem said 0.25, the balloon started at 0.25, and we took away sand, which if we take away sand, the balloon goes up. Okay. The way I did my addition, if you weren't sure how I got my addition, I just lined up my dots, 0.25 plus 0.75, add them up, carry my 1, but bring down my decimal into the right place, and my answer is 1 whole. Okay, great job so far.